So we talked about ERGs, and if you want genuine agility and flexibility in your organization and responsiveness under crisis, that's the way to go, as you could hear in our conversation with Anna. Now, another important question we are going to pose today: why does allyship matter and how to support it in your workplace? Hello, everyone. We have Szymon Martyniak about to facilitate today's discussion. Szymon has been active within Diversity Hubs, supporting Pride and LGBTQ plus communities. Perfect person to facilitate this discussion. So once again, good afternoon. And Szymon, over to you. Enjoy the discussion.
Thank you, Łukasz. Thank you very much. My name is Szymon Martyniak, and I'm hosting this panel because as a person in a same-sex relationship, I experience the topic of allyship on a daily basis. I also conduct trainings in diversity and inclusion area. And today with me, I have a pleasure to host this panel and have fantastic guests. We have Alexandra Tessari from HSBC and Bruno Bouquet from Capgemini. Hi, Alex. Hi, Bruno.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. We begin our meeting with the topic of allyship. It consists of three elements. So in allyship, we have a person who experiences a difficult situation and stress. So that's a triangle. We have this person. The second element is the problematic situation and the difficult situation. And we also have a bystander, a person who sees the situation, sees the person, and who can become a potential ally. Hence, Alex, my first question is for you. Who is an ally? What is her role? And what role have your allies played in your story?
So an ally is someone who's going to visibly support and stand up for someone who's maybe part of a diverse group, which is maybe underrepresented. Their role can be to call out bad behavior, it can be to support ERGs. There's been some discussion on that in this conference. They can educate themselves and their peers on some of the things that are specific to certain groups, for example, LGBTQ or ethnic or any of the other ones we could talk about today. So in terms of like my role and how I've experienced maybe allyship for myself. So my career spans 15 years at HSBC. And I've been really lucky to have tremendous support and growth opportunities. I've worked in 4 countries. I'm a woman in technology. That would never have happened if I hadn't had strong male allies along the way, right? I'm used to being the only woman in the team. And so that's an example of male allyship where they've challenged me, where I've used them as sounding boards before changing careers, where they provided me learning opportunities, where they've been role models I could admire and follow in the steps of. In other ways, I've also been the benefiter of allyship in terms of LGBTQ+. So a lot of my friends and family were surprised when my wife and I decided to move to Poland 2 years ago. There sadly is a bit of controversy around LGBTQ+ rights here. And there was a lot of people concerned, like, why moving to Poland? What? Wait, hold on. We don't hear very good things in the media about that. And one thing that was very important for me and decisive factor in moving to Poland was that I knew I had very strong allyship and support from HSBC, my company. I knew that they would support me through the process, the policies, both me and my wife, so that we could move here, live here, feel supported. And that's been terrific. And Szymon, you as the Pride lead here at the center has been really reassuring thing for me, even for me coming as a fairly senior person, expat, where I think it's sometimes easier. That was a very reassuring thing. And as an aside, I find both me and my wife are very happy in Poland, and we do find it to be quite a friendly place.
Alex, thank you very much. And now a question to Bruno. From your perspective, Bruno, what is difficult in being a good ally in workplace?
It's a really large question. I think to be a good ally in the workplace is that you have set up, let's say, the place where you've got full equity and people can talk freely about, let's say, the issue, their well-being, and how they are, let's say, how they are well-being at work. I think what is really important is really to set up the atmosphere in the company that everybody is treated equally. To have this feeling, it's have to come from the top manager up to, let's say, to all the employees. So it's really something which is quite complex. But if you push it, let's say, from the top, and if you express the fact that you can reach out to anyone in the company related to any issue, in fact, this is where you will succeed to set up your ally.
Mm-hmm. And Bruno, do you have any personal story about being an ally to any of the underrepresented groups, or how does it look like in your workplace?
In my workplace, so I'm the executive sponsor of the LGBT plus ally in the company, and what was really important. So I volunteer for it because I think it's really important that, as I was saying, everybody feel really good in the company, and that we are part of, let's say, of the progress. So at some point, we know that the society is changing. There are things which are happening. So depending where you sit in the world, the things will be more easy or not. And if it's not come, let's say, from the ground, from the company, if it's not pushed by everyone, we will not change anything. So I know it's not something, let's say, which is easy for sure, because explaining to my family that I was the executive sponsor of this community was quite also challenging, because this is something which is, let's say, not natural for some people, depending on their culture, of their religion, what is their background, what is their education. So, but if we are not, let's say, moving forward, taking this responsibility and try to push it for the future and try to build the future we want for all the people, and to make sure that also all the people that we will have, at least in our company, are well treated, are, let's say, well in their work. That's it, because we are asking and demanding a lot to the people. They've got objectives, they've got personal objectives, they've got business objectives. So if we put on the top the pressure of not talking about what is their friend, or what was their holiday, not be able to show some photography, or this, it's not a normal way of living. So this is where we need to play something, and I'm really proud to do that, because honestly, I have a son and a daughter, and I hope that I don't know what will happen, and I don't want to know. In fact, I just want to know that we need to continue in the future, and to keep the relationship with everyone.
Thank you, Bruno, for sharing this personal experience. And now, Alex, I'm wondering how does your experience of being an ally in many countries? I know that originally you're from Canada. So how does your experience in many countries, in many job roles, translate into supporting other groups?
So I think I've always been, or at least for the past probably 10 years or so, been quite active in local ERGs. So naturally, the one for more women and representation and women in technology, but also LGBT. And I think I've gotten more so over the years. And now, as head of a department of technology here in Poland, I feel that I have even more so a responsibility to role model and be open about the fact that I live with my wife, and it's just by the by, it's not important information, but it's something that I would just say normally, and that's fine. And trying to create that inclusive atmosphere. So hopefully, I do think, as a kind of more or less straight passing lesbian, it's a bit easier for me, I think, than, for example, my gay man counterparts or even my trans colleagues. So hopefully, by me being myself and speaking up and being open about who I am, that just makes sets the tone for the right kind of inclusive behaviors around us, right, and in the wider organization. So that's in terms of, that's really important, like the role modeling where you can. And when you're not a member of the LGBT community, it's about being that ally that speaks about that LGBT community and empathizes with it. The other aspect of allyship that I think is very important for my other part is the woman in technology side. So I do as much as I can to speak on conferences such as these, but also I spoke on a tech conference, DevOps Poland, in August, which is for Java developers. I was one of the only women speakers at that conference, right? But it's role modeling that women can talk about technical subjects, right? They exist. So I'm trying to help change that perception because I have an opportunity to do so. So I think all of those things will help.
Mm-hmm. Just one question. What does it really mean to set the right tone? Because you used this expression. I heard this also previously. So what do you mean by that?
So, for example, I'm giving a town hall or I'm speaking to a management meeting. Am I mentioning the fact that there's an event coming up? Maybe there's an equality pride parade in Krakow you can get involved in, or am I mentioning that there's a woman in tech conference, or there's going to be some discussions and some learning opportunities and knowledge? Like, are we talking about those things, encouraging people to go to those things, and are we rewarding the people in our teams that are behind these initiatives, right? It's just naturally talking about these things as part of your everyday business meetings and BAU. That's for me setting the tone.
Thank you very much for sharing. And Bruno, I believe there will be many people watching us now. Many people are watching us. So I'm just wondering, because there are many organizations and people, colleagues, who start thinking about building and deepening the culture of allyship. And based on your experience, what would be your recommendations to people who want to build the culture of allyship? What would be your recommendations to organizations or people? What are your recommendations?
I can testimony in what we've done in Capgemini, which I think at some point is the right setup. I think first the approach should be from the top management at the role model and direction change. So in terms of Capgemini, we've got our Emanezat, which is our CEO, which made clear communication on the topic. And then we need a strong spokesman. So this is where we need to, let's say, to have a lot of communication that will help. And then we set up the new community. So we set up the Outfront, our rainbow network. And how we made it, in fact, we made it with open meeting with the community, where with the presence of the sponsors, myself, and all and we made also some educational seminar for the employee. And the community is made that everyone can join. In fact, is not the community which is closed. Is really that the people which are, let's say, open, curious, they can join, they can be part of it, they can share their experience, and this is really important. And this is also what is important is having a forum where community can bring their concern. So, and the community should have visibility and leaders that are identified and that are ready to step in. And on the top of that, what we made is we made a lot of trainings for the manager, for the employee. For example, on the unconscious bias. So there are a lot of activity to be performed if you want to have, let's say, the right setup and to have the right mindset, which is spread off around all the companies. it's not saying, waking up one morning and say, okay, we'll set up an allyship. Is really think about the strategy, how you want to build it, how you want to communicate on it, how you want to approach all the people. So it's really something that is, let's say, that takes time, for sure.
Bruno, thank you very much. Alex, would you like to add anything to these recommendations?
I'd say I really agree with Bruno. It's very important to have that kind of top-down central backing, right? Where you have these trainings you can do, the unconscious bias, the allyship, all of those things. And then once you have that, it's easier then for everyone to say, oh, and refer to that and encourage you to do that and do it yourself and talk about it. That's part of you can't, without that, you can't, I think, make a difference. Yeah, not a lot to add. That was a great answer, Bruno.
Thank you.
Alex, Bruno, thank you very much. The topic of allyship is becoming more and more popular in Poland and across the globe, and I think it's becoming more and more important. So thank you very much for sharing your stories and your experience. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Szymon. We've got 2 quick questions, very little time left, but let's hear them out. Antoni, it's easy to say I'm an ally, but what actions are expected from my side? That's question 1. And there's a specific question to Alexandra. Was there ever any situation in your professional career when you thought some leader was just too much? Allyship and support versus imposing certain biased decisions as leaders.
Interesting. When someone was too much in terms of pushing too much D&I, or too much in terms of too much personality and not giving me space to grow and thrive. It could be both ways. If it's too much D&I, then you can respond to that and say, I think that's actually, we've said enough on this subject for now. Maybe we're not helping ourselves by adding further. That's a fair comment. And hopefully you work in an environment where you can respond to that and say those things in a safe space. And if it's working with perhaps a difficult personality, which is not allowing you to thrive or be your best for various reasons, maybe be some unconscious bias, then hopefully, there's other people you can talk to in your organization to look for support.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for a very interesting discussion. Pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And next up...